God be in my mouth. Oh, taste and see how good the Lord is. Don't like it, but you haven't even tasted it. Some of us may remember or are still having a similar conversation with a small child who's refusing to try some new food. Watch any cookery programme in which the contestants compete to be crowned best chef or best baker. The moment arrives when the judges, having looked and tasted, give their verdicts. Beautifully presented, nice texture, but rather bland taste. Looks nice in the plate, rather stodgy though, although tastes okay. Perfect combination of attractive presentation, creamy and light texture, and well-balanced blend of flavours. Do you think this might be the winner? It is in our mouth and on the taste buds in our tongue that we have the ability to taste and differentiate between flavours. The 5 main tastes are sweet, sour, bitter, salty, and umami, which is Japanese for savoury. Newborn infants first feed on milk, usually either breast milk or formula. Eventually comes the time when weaning commences and they become accustomed to other foods and tastes. In my time as a young mother, this was often referred to as starting solids. However, if my memory serves me right, these foods were anything but, being rather mushy cereals, porridge, and mashed bananas, to name a few. They tended to be rather messy and good fun to touch and play with, but not necessarily to eat. With the arrival of the first teeth, however, more new foods could be introduced with more exciting textures. For example, crunchy, chewy, crispy. Some of these would be devoured, but sometimes spat out or just plainly refused. Most of us will still have favourite foods, and perhaps some that we just don't like. And the same applies when we use taste to mean the type of music we prefer, books we like to read, films and plays we like to watch. During Jesus' ministry here on earth, we read in the Gospels how often food is mentioned. Those Jesus chose as his first disciples were fishermen. His first miracle was at a wedding in Cana, where the wine was running out. He turned water into wine, even better wine than that which was originally provided. Another miracle was when a crowd of 5,000 turned up to listen to him. He was concerned for their welfare, and taking 5 loaves and 2 fishes from a wee boy, he fed them all with still some left over. Throughout his ministry, he relied on others to provide him with hospitality. We read of him being fed by Simon Peter's mother-in-law after he healed her. He often went to be with his good friends Mary, Martha, and their brother Lazarus. He was led by the Spirit to be tempted by the devil in the wilderness. When he had fasted for 40 days and nights, the devil showed Jesus some stones, saying, "If he was the Son of God, turn these into bread." But Jesus resisted temptation. We do read in Matthew chapter 4, verse 4, Jesus answered, "It is written, people do not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." Jesus often used items of food in his preaching, both literally and figuratively. He referred to his followers as salt of the earth, salt being used to flavour food and also to preserve it. His first disciples were fishers of men. He said he was the bread of life. At his last meal with his disciples, as he celebrated the Passover, and here we can see it, Jesus broke bread, gave thanks, then gave it to his disciples to eat, telling them that this was his body. Then he took the cup of wine, gave thanks, and gave this to the disciples to drink, explaining that this was his blood shed for them. The meal we now celebrate as Holy Communion. We are now at the start of Lent in the period leading up to Holy Week. Palm Sunday, the Last Supper, Jesus' trial, his crucifixion, then death, then the glorious day of Easter, a joyous day of Easter, when we can celebrate the risen Christ who has defeated death. Lent is a period of the year when Christians set aside time to reflect on their spiritual journey. Finally, this soul space reflection has the subtitle taken from Psalm 34, verse 8. O taste and see how good the Lord is. David the psalmist wrote this when he was fleeing from his enemy and his life was far from easy, yet still he worships, gives thanks, and trusts his Lord. May we, in the good times and not so good, continue to do the same. And now, a blessing for wisdom. May God's wisdom guide you wherever you walk in this world. May God's wisdom encourage you in your daily work. May God's wisdom work in you like yeast and rise in you like hope. May you taste and see God's goodness, and may God's wisdom be your delight, now, this day, and evermore.